Hi, my name is Jason Major, and welcome to another episode of the Biblical Cinematic Universe. Today I'm going to be talking about the movie Solomon and Sheba, which is on my screen right here. It was made in 1959, directed by King Vidor, and starring Yul Bryner, Gina Lollobrigida, I think, and George Sanders were the main stars. And so this movie was made in 1959. It's a 2-hour, 20-minute long biblical epic. And in 2023, this is the first time I've ever seen this movie. It's one of those movies where I just never got a chance to see it. I didn't own a copy. And it's on in 2023. It was on Tubi, the streaming service. So I decided to finally check it out, even though I'm going out of my biblical order of movies. And I just have to say that this movie was critically, apparently in the 70s and in the 60s and when this movie came out, it wasn't necessarily highly favored by critics, but it was a box office hit, doubling its budget. But I personally give this movie an 8 out of 10. I only don't give it 9 or 10 because time will tell. The test of time will tell. But I enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this movie, and it was far superior to what I thought was going to be. In the Bible, King Solomon obviously is the son of David, and he's the man of peace. He creates the temple. He asks for wisdom, has a dream, and asks for wisdom, and also he meets the Queen of Sheba, and he wrote the Song of Solomon and Ecclesiastes. So this movie kind of, what it does is kind of has to sort of take different parts of Solomon's biblical narrative and kind of interweave them in a different order than is in the biblical order. So, for example, in the Bible, David's son Adoniah, his rebellion against the king was very like it was at the beginning of David was about to die, and he almost tries to become king. But then that rebellion is quenched at the beginning of Solomon's reign. But whereas this, they have it both at the beginning and then later in Solomon's reign as well, so we can have a big epic battle. And my goodness, when it gets to that big epic battle, like some of the cinematography, because you're having like this giant Egypt army and the army of Adoniah and they're against the army of Solomon, and it's like, wow, this is incredible. This is like cool. It was just like one of these great fight scenes with chariots and everything, where there's hundreds of chariots and hundreds of battles on screen. Now, as for the actual story, the story of this film is about the first King Solomon takes the reins from David, who dies at the beginning of the film. So Bathsheba is basically singing to the film. And then he basically is trying to be a good king. He prays to God, and he prays for the temple. We see that scene as in Scripture. And then the Queen of Sheba comes to visit the land, which is based on the Bible narrative. But in this version of the story, she takes on a role similar to characters like Delilah in Samson and Delilah, or Bathsheba and David Bathsheba, or even the Egyptian princess that was in the Ten Commandments. So very much taking on that similar kind of role. So a lot of these Bible films have a similar trope where you have like one godly girl who loves the Lord and loves the Lord Jehovah, and then another girl of the world, and it's a choice between the two. And in some cases, like the girl of the world wins. In some cases, the girl of the world becomes a godly girl by the end, you know what I mean? And so that's what this story is doing, is that the Queen of Sheba is kind of doing this manipulative little plan to try and find out how to break down King Solomon's empire by enticing him with her and then bringing false gods into the land, which, again, that's part of the biblical narrative that, not about Queen Sheba specifically, but the fact that Solomon did in his, middle of his reign, fell into worship of idols. And so that it becomes a big love story about that. And in traditional biblical fashion as well, you also have a big dance number of like how the pagans worship God, and you're doing this supposedly pagan dance number. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of like awesome, beautiful looking costumes, beautiful looking sets, and I just thought it was actually a well acted film, and I thought it was really intriguing the way that they were weaving these different stories together. And I won't spoil how it ends, because I didn't know how it was going to end, because in the Bible it doesn't say, like, it just says the Queen of Sheba visited Solomon and give him gifts, and then said, "Hey, this was, your God is great." So this movie really plays into a lot of really cool little stories that, again, they're weaving them from the Bible narrative, weaving them all around into something that dramatically is interesting. And I understand that, like, I mean, if you had, like, if this big battle with Adonai may not be in the Bible, but it is a cool battle. But Yul Bryner, who is Ramses, most famously in Ten Commandments, he was the bad guy in Ten Commandments, and this one he's very restrained and he has hair. So I actually thought he did a great job as the lead. He was a completely different character than Ramses. He's very restrained in this role. He's, like, you could see a lot of, I don't know, I just thought his acting was really interesting, and his choices was really interesting, and his relationship with the actress Gina, I can't pronounce her last name, as Sheba, who basically, like I said, takes on a role very similar to Bathsheba, in a sense that she's like the beautiful temptress who tempts him towards the dark side, and then, has to learn her lesson about who the real Jehovah is, and who the real God is. So I do recommend this film, and 8 out of 10 is my rating, and I would say that beautiful sets, beautiful acting, and some epic action scenes, and that it intrigued me, it kept me going. There is a lot of action for a story that you think is going to be just a love story in the beginning, and I highly recommend it. All right, next time for Biblical Cinematic Universe, I'm Jason Major.